Hello students, this is Mr. Lou and I am your 7-Minute Sensei, where I attempt to explain everything you need to know in 7 minutes or less. Today I'm going to address another question of the day. This question was asked by Tyler. Tyler wanted to know if there are more things that he could learn about target marketing. How do we identify an audience for our product or service? Okay, so here are the things that I would think about. Number one, get to know the customer. Obviously, when Mark Zuckerberg started his business, Facebook, he was a student at Harvard, and he and his friends decided that they wanted to create a digital version of a Facebook, which essentially is like a yearbook for a specific class, a cohort, and so forth. Well, I think, they clearly knew that there was an audience beyond just college students. And so eventually they made their move to California, to Silicon Valley. And there they expanded their idea to where today, if you look at Facebook, their mission is not just to connect a bunch of students at Harvard or at a college, but to connect the world, to improve communication with the entire world. And now you think about it today, even though in the early days of Facebook and other social networks, people felt like, oh, that was so trivial, such a waste of time. Consider today the number of people that you know that cannot put their devices down because they have to check their Facebook or their Instagram account, whatever it may be. Then you also think about a product like iTunes or iPhone. There were other small handheld devices before these devices came to be. I do remember back in the days when there was a Palm device, there was a BlackBerry device, there were a number of little handheld computers, if you will, but none of them really excelled or offered telecommunications in addition to the computing power all in one handheld device. And now today we have a whole mobility market that frankly today, if you do not follow the mantra of mobile first, you probably are going to be late to the game. So what else do we need to look at? If you're a marketer, how do we identify who our target audience is? Let me go ahead and bring up my chalkboard here, and let's go ahead and talk about things that we need to do. We have to make some observations, right? We have to identify a customer that, number one, is experiencing some kind of problem, okay? Problem. Number two, that problem also needs to be associated with some kind of pain, okay? So it could be a small problem, which, okay, I'm going to deal with it, to a big problem, like it is costing me time, it's costing me money, it is very frustrating, and I want to resolve that. So the second thing that we look at is an unmet need. Okay, guys? So I need somebody that can help me watch a child. So that's an unmet need. So then all of a sudden you have people in the community that say, hey, I can help. And they help fill that unmet need by providing some kind of daycare service. Okay? The next thing that you have to consider is something we call gap analysis. Okay? Now, when we look at gap analysis, we are looking at we're looking at this chasm, if you will, right? This is the gap, okay, that needs to be bridged in some fashion, okay? So people can get from point A to point B, right? That's a gap, and we have to understand if there is an opportunity to monetize that gap, right? So we just need to know that. That's an economic question that has to be asked. And then finally, we have to say, is there an opportunity to create something that is a substitute, okay? Substitute to what we already know or what we do today. And so that substitute ideally makes it easier, okay? Maybe cheaper, maybe faster, okay? Those are some of the things that we're going to look at for a substitute product. So, for example, when the mobile devices started coming out, and most people were using regular desktop type computers, somebody had to say, you know, that people really needed that portability, and that was not being met. So, could this smart device be easier, cheaper, faster than a regular computer? And how do I persuade people that it is? Okay, so that's it. Those are the things I would look at. Really get to know your customer, observe them. What are their pain points? How much suffering really is taking place? Is there an opportunity to make things easier, better, faster, cheaper? And are people willing to pay for that substitute product? And this is where we get the concept of disruption. And yes, every day now in this global economy, things are constantly being disrupted. People are finding that there are easier, cheaper, faster, better ways to do things. So that's how we do it. I hope, Tyler, that answers your question. This is Mr. Lou. Peace out.